Hey everybody, it's Murgle, and today I wanted to do a little speculation about the next expansion. But I feel like as more and more information comes out, it's very interesting to see, but we really need to look back at the current expansion, Legion, to see for some groundwork, right? So when I say look back, I'm really talking about the Il'gynoth encounter. We know that after Legion ends, we will have locked Sargeras away with the Pantheon, and little will be said about it from that point. Till of course in the future, when they crack open a cold one with the boys, and we get a repeat expansion about Legion. But aside from that, there's 4 main whispers that I would like to discuss, because they become more and more clear, I think, as things progress. Anyways, the first one I would like to begin with is her heart is a crater and we have filled it. For the longest time, I believed this to be Jaina, as her hometown and the place she loved is legitimately a crater right now. So on top of that, everyone she has truly cared about, aside from her current lover Kalecgos, has died. I mean, she cared about Varian, she cared about Arthas. Everyone she cares about dies. Everything she wanted to do failed. So, very sad soul. Jaina Proudmoore is very, very depressed. And it's obviously easy for her to corrupt at that point, right? She is very susceptible. But I do not believe that this is what the message refers to anymore. Even though it is very fitting for Jaina, I truly think at the end of the day, she wants to do good, and she's just had a very bad time. So who is it referring to then? Well, I very much think that when it says her heart is a crater and we have filled it, that it actually means Azeroth herself. Magni takes us inside her at one point, and he tells us that Azeroth is haunted. She's very scared and having nightmares. And the old gods cover many locations across her, corrupting her dreams and life force with malice and destruction. Is probably in a constant stream of distress, right? If not torment, like she may be suffering all this time. And that we were merely unaware of it, right? We don't know that she's in all this pain. So it's almost certain referring to the fact that old gods are eating away at her, bending her power to their wicked will. The next whisper that I really want to talk about is at the hour of her third death, she will usher in our coming. Azeroth has already had severe trauma, or death, in the past. The first one came with the explosion of the Well of Eternity. This wounded Azeroth very greatly, and even separated the continents into all the pieces we know today. At one point, it was just a giant landmass. There was no, separation. All of the pieces, Eastern Kingdoms, Kalimdor, Northrend, they were all one big piece. So yeah, Pangea broke. But anyways, her second death was the cataclysm caused by Deathwing, which again caused great turmoil to the planet. I mean, he ripped things apart, you know. We saw the destruction that Deathwing caused. And finally, her third death is likely to happen soon, thanks to Sargeras, who is going to stab her and leave a giant gaping wound in her. And this will likely not kill Azeroth, but she is dying and bleeding across the planet. And that's why the Alliance and Horde is collecting Azerite, which is literally the lifeblood of the planet that she's seeping across her surface. So she is dying. And the next clue is the whisper which says, the King of Diamonds has been made a pawn, which almost is certain that it's referring to Magni. I mean, there aren't really many other people you could be talking about when using that phrase, unless maybe you said Gallywix, because Gallywix is immensely rich, but it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense, because Gallywix does whatever he wants, right? Anyways, it begs the question of how Magni is a pawn. I don't think he's corrupted in the sense that he's a villain or he's bad or anything like that. I believe he merely thinks he's doing what's right. He's doing what he's told by Azeroth because he wants to help her. He thinks he's helping her. But it's not beyond old gods to whisper to folks. And if Magni merely thinks he's talking to Azeroth, but he's not, he's actually talking to another entity, then he's going to do whatever that entity says because he thinks it's Azeroth, right? So he isn't corrupted in the sense he's a bad guy. Rather, he's confused. And finally, the really important one I think we need to discuss is the whisper. Its surface blazes bright, masking shadows below. Now this could refer to Naru, because they are indeed very bright when they're vibrant and part of the light. But all Naru are also part of the void as they fall, which could merely mean that it's referring to how Naru are light and dark technically at the same time. But I don't think that's the case. I think it deals greatly with an item we'll receive, and I think it is the key that links many of these whispers together. And Magni is also, the unknowing pawn, right? He's listening to a Void Lord and he doesn't know it. In Battle for Azeroth, we're going to be given the heart of Azeroth. We're going to go around filling this heart to collect the life force of Azeroth, because Magni thinks it's the key to saving the planet. However, if that's merely what he's being told, and he just thinks it's Azeroth, then it is very much possible that this bright glowing thing is actually a dark object beneath the surface, and we're killing Azeroth, thus bringing in her third death, right? We're ushering it in ourselves, giving them the perfect gateway to enter the world. Anyways, it's obvious in Battle for Azeroth we will likely be seeing a lot of old god related activity. Heck, I even think the start of the expansion is a strong indicator of old gods moving pieces on the board, so they're directing, right? We know that Teldrassil burns first, that's been confirmed, but we aren't told by who or why. And I mean, the pictures show Sylvanas being there, but I don't think Sylvanas would do this. She has expressed her care for the Forsaken people. She cares about the Forsaken. And she knows that this type of message would obviously spark all-out war. And the closest opportunity for the Alliance with their strong, where they have locations and stuff, their closest opportunity would be Undercity. So it wouldn't really be advantageous for her to spark all-out war. In the end, though, all this is just some fun speculation. I was just thinking back at those whispers as, I was thinking of all the stuff that's happening now and how they might pertain. I guess in a way it might not make sense, because if we're listening to one of these, we have to apply them to future events. We'd have to assume the old gods know exactly what's going to happen. Which, maybe they do. After all, if they're moving all the pieces on both sides, they know exactly where to point them, right? Anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will be seeing you again real soon. Bye-bye.